Welcome to the review on the Jumper Punch channel of Carlton's Round 5 annihilation of the West Coast Eagles to the tune of 71 points. It was Carlton 17-19, 121 to the West Coast Eagles 6-14-50 at Adelaide Oval on Saturday afternoon. If you are new around here to the Jumper Punch channel, make sure you hit like, subscribe, join our membership as well. We've got our packs and options available for 2025. Leave a comment in the video below. Let us know how you think our Blue Boys went in what was our first win of the season. It was a bully job. It was an annihilation from effectively start to finish. It was an obliteration numerically. It was an obliteration on the scoreboard. But as far as I'm concerned, I don't think we learnt a hell of a lot about Carlton after this match. I don't really think we're going to learn a hell of a lot over the next fortnight. We did what we were expected to do. If anything, just looking at the stats and looking at the numbers, we probably left a bit out on the field. It could very well have been in excess of, and I kid you not, 150 points. These numbers are unheard of in AFL. And the stat that is going around at the moment is that West Coast have recorded the lowest ever contested possession number count since this particular stat has been recorded in the AFL era. They only managed 77 contested possessions to our 136. The inside 50 count was an obliteration, 73-35. Scores from turnover, 10-8-68 to 5-7-37 in our favour. Scores from stoppage, 6-9-45 to 1-5-11. We got scores from forward half, 10-8-68 to 1-7-13. And, of course, that's always going to happen when you win the ball as much as we did and you find the ball as much as we did and you pin the ball in your final third. Had a look at the replay, and there is still a lot of concerns for me in this particular match. I speak of our mid to forward connect. I know I keep repeating myself, but I speak of our defensive discipline, especially early in the game. And look, West Coast did hit us on transition a few times, much to my frustration. And I know we were inaccurate in the first half, and the game probably should have been put to bed if it wasn't already put to bed at halftime. But there was a fleeting moment when Liam Ryan kicked the first goal of the third quarter that you just felt the gut churn and thought, oh no, please don't tell me it's going to start again. But to the boys' credit, they put the game to bed within the opening 10 to 15 minutes of the third quarter, got it to beyond 6 to 7 goals and coasted all the way. Look, again, not creating any new insight here. It's what we all saw. We know that our skills and doing the basics when the pressure comes on us is a big, big question mark for a lot of these players, and how these coaches set us up to be able to handle that pressure and set us up to maximize our strengths and mitigate our weaknesses is still of much conjecture. And this is only my opinion. You can agree with it or not. I'd like to hear what you thought about the win, just how you felt during the game and how you felt post-game. For me, it's the most unsatisfying win that I think I've watched for a long, long, long time, just because of the longer-term picture of where we're at and what we're aiming for. Again, like I said, we don't really learn a hell of a lot from this game. We did this against West Coast 2 seasons ago in that fateful 2023 season, early in that particular season where we absolutely annihilated West Coast by over 100 points. And it was a game where Charlie nearly kicked 10 goals. And we know what happened after that. After that, our response was abhorrent. We lost, I think it was 6 or 7 in a row to be down in the doldrums there. And I still fear that we're in that particular spot. You can't ignore the opening month of the season, and you can't just quash the opening month of the season based off a win against the West Coast team, which, let's be honest, you would suspect are going to struggle in every single game that they play this season. So let me know what you think. I don't feel satisfied with the win. Don't really feel content. Don't really feel happy with the win to a certain point, because it really is expected. And I suppose when you hit expectations against a team like West Coast, you don't really feel the excitement that you probably should feel 7 to 8 to 9 years into what we're doing. as a football club. This is where we should be. We should be 70, 80, 90 points in excess of a team like this at the moment, given the seniority we have on our list and the experience we now have on our list as well. Speaking of inexperience, great to see Will White get involved. Cooper Lord was involved as well after Harry Mackay was subbed off. Bit unfortunate for Harry. He copped that concussion, so he's going to miss the game against North Melbourne. But there were patches in the first half for me where I just found us leaving so many goals out on the park. And Mitch McGovern, I know his numbers looked really good, but there were patches in that first half where he just lacked that defensive grit against Jake Waterman, and that lack of concentration against that Eagles forward line is going to be amplified far more, if not against North Melbourne, against a team like Geelong in 2 weeks' time, and against a team like Adelaide at the Adelaide Oval after that Geelong fixture. But again, don't want to look too far ahead clearly, because the last time we did that, we got beaten by Richmond when we were 41 points up. So again, don't want to continue to harp on about those losses, but it's hard not to. And again, made reference to this win being like finding a speck of gold at the bottom of a barrel full of rubbish at the moment. And that's how I feel. I don't know if that's how you feel. I know people are telling me not to be a miserable sod. I'm not miserable. There's no emotion attached with it when it comes to analysing the game and analysing what you see on the TV screen and what you see on the replay. But on my end, I fail to see what we're going to learn over the next fortnight against West Coast and North Melbourne. Like, subscribe, comment. Let us know how you think we're going to go against North Melbourne. We'll have a decent sized preview to come for the Good Friday clash at Marvel Stadium. I'll go through some of the individuals from our game as well. Look, Sam Walsh is not going to have free reign like that in most games this season, I wouldn't have thought. But because he's got the running power and the running ability, he is able to get off the leash and get off the proverbial chain, so to speak, and run his opponents into the ground. But I don't even know if he had an opponent against West Coast, and he destroyed this West Coast midfield. And we did say in the preview that Carlton's physicality in the midfield and their experience in the midfield compared to their West Coast counterparts was going to be a clear edge in this game. And that's why it pays to listen to these previews on the Jumper Punch channel, because that was the edge for us. And that is clearly where we not just won the game, but it was the fuel and what jettisoned and propelled us into this winning form against West Coast. Mitch McGovern was the second highest rated player on the ground, at least on wheeloratings.com. Big shout out to wheeloratings.com. Their website is absolutely fantastic if you're looking for data and statistics behind the game. Look, he was okay. I don't want to say it was his best game for the season. Numerically and statistically, it was good to see him get on the end of a goal. But this seemed to be, and just to get off the players for a moment, it just seemed like it was a glorified training session to me. Tom De Koning was a little bit quiet. I didn't really notice him a lot. I suspect there was a bit of rotation going on with Tom De Koning, and now there are more news artifacts coming out about his potential leave to St Kilda and him signing a deal with St Kilda when the season is done, but that's obviously for a few months down the track. Adam Chera continues to churn out the numbers, at least on a consistent basis. He wasn't amazing. He hasn't been absolutely amazing this season, but I think for him, it's just a nice foundation. These first 4 to 5 weeks have been a nice foundation for him to build off and continue to build his body into what we know is going to be a brutal football season. George Hewitt has probably been our best midfielder this season. He's not the best user by foot. He's not the best user by hand. He's not the best ball striker. He's not the most talented player in the world, but there is a saying that agency defeats talent, and his work rate, his work ethic, and his professionalism is of the highest order in this squad at the moment. And I think his work rate, he reminds me of a better version of Ed Curnow. That's what George Hewitt reminds me of. Corey Durden, great to see him get a career-high 4 goals. He's not going to have that much free reign against most opposition this season, but it's good to see him nail a tackle where he sort of went down headfirst into it and hit the sternum of, I think, Harry Edwards, and he really tested that shoulder out, which he's had a bit of trouble with, and he got away scot-free, thankfully. So Good to see him back with a smile on his face. If he can continue to zip around that forward line and be smart with the way he approaches his forward craft and not go up for contested marks and not go up for contested scenarios, and he stays on the ground and he roves off Charlie and Harry and our bigs, then he will be in for a good season. He's had 2 to 3 injury interrupted seasons, and it's been far from ideal for him, but hopefully, touch wood, that he continues on his merry way, at least physically, which will hopefully lead to output and performance. Paddy Cripps, I don't think he's had the best start to the year. He was allowed to be a bit more offensive. We saw him work inside forward 50 for this game, and he kicked a few goals as well, which was good to see. He kicked a 3, which we haven't seen for a little while. Again, against West Coast, make of it what you will. I thought he was good without being amazing. Nick Haynes, we saw what he was all about and probably the reason why the club recruited him. He was clean in possession. He wasn't second-guessing himself again. He didn't fumble a lot either. He was very, very clean. Matthew Cottrell, I think, has had an underrated season so far. He's probably our most precise, assertive, and direct user going inside forward 50. He's always looking to change the angles. He's always looking to low dart the ball inside forward 50 to give our forwards the best possible hope of not just gaining separation from their opponent, but actually getting their arms out to mark the ball without breaking stride. So I thought his game was actually really good. Jacob Wiedering, don't need to say much about him. He's just a colossus down back. Thank heavens we have this man in our football team. Fogarty was okay. Again, not the highest output game from him. He finally got on the scoreboard as well, which is a good sign for him, but it was only the 1 goal. Look, he's probably going to be, I wouldn't say a staple of this forward line. I assume that there will be, our recruiting managers will look at a position like his and look to try and fill it with someone a little more talented. But I like Loggie Fogarty. I like what he brings to the table. He might not be the highest output small forward, but one thing you can't knock is his lack of effort, which, it sounds like we're going back to the 2016 days when we talk about that. But his tackle pressure is always strong. He can be a rotation in midfield, which I don't really like, but a solid enough outing from him. Sardi, he's had a good year. Need to utilise him a little bit better, though. Need to utilise him a lot more efficiently, and he needs to be a guy who is assisted with overlap run. We need to get more guys laterally when he is going through those handball chains in order to use him a little bit higher up the ground and in order to release him out the front of those defensive lines that come up to press us. So he's been solid. Jack Silvani, again, coming off the ACL. Good to see him have an uninterrupted start to the season, and he looks as though he's found a home down back. He may be shifted up forward for the North Melbourne game. So that's one to definitely keep an eye on. Jesse Motlop, I think he's just struggling, Jesse, to be honest. Given the fact that he showed some really good signs in the preseason, he's bulked up, he looks fit, he's ready to go. Physically, he looks the best he's ever looked. But it's not really allotting to a whole amount of output at the moment. I think he would have been, look, at small forwards can have these type of games, but I think he would have been a little disappointed with his output. Ollie Hollands, look, probably not a game for him. He still had the 17 touches. Again, another player who, I don't know if he's a whipping boy. Let me know if you think he's a whipping boy in the comments. I really liked his year. Again, he's a first-round draftee who is or was pitted as one of the best wingers in that draft and is being played in a purely defensive role. Look, he is trying to be offensive in that defensive role, but I'd like to see him play pure wing. That's what I'd like to see. And maybe this is a foundation with which to set him up over the next couple of seasons to release him in an offensive wing role. But I like what I saw from him. Charlie Curnow, needless to say, he was a forward threat. He's going to be that the whole season. He's probably still building up towards full fitness and towards peak form. Left a few goals in the bag during this game. Will White, solid enough. He's not the greatest kick of the football, but he toils away. He's zippy in that forward line. You can tell he's very passionate too. You can't underestimate that. And he's got a really, really good engine. But again, he's probably a player that, look, people are going to ask and people are going to question his ability, but he is, he's a supplementary player. He's a rookie pick. So let's not hold him to the high standards that we hold these high output senior players to. And granted, that doesn't mean that the standards should be low when it comes to looking at Will White's game. But he's got a base he needs to work off. He's still very, very young, but it's good to see him kick his debut goal and the boys get around him. And that's the energy and infectious type of energy we need to ripple throughout the squad over the next couple of weeks. Brody Kemp, unfortunate. Look, I didn't think he was great before he went down with what is suspected to be an Achilles. So that's probably going to be his season over. Cooper Lord, handy little player, Cooper Lord. He was out of the team and then in the team and then the sub. And when he did get subbed on, I thought he was okay. He had the 15 touches, kicked his first goal, which was great to see. And the boys got around him as well. I think he's just going to be a handy player. I don't think he's going to be an absolute superstar. But again, he's one of those youngsters who has a defensive bias to his game, as we saw in his profile on carltonfc.com.au. And it's what Nick Austin described him as. He's a defensive bias midfielder. So maybe he is the protege and the understudy to a player like George Hewitt. And I would suggest he's probably a better user than George Hewitt. So that's one and a relationship just to keep an eye on. Sam Doherty got his goal. Boys got around him as well, 22 touches. Again, we don't really learn a lot from this game with him as to whether or not he's out of a form funk we have seen for the start of the season. Matthew Carroll, he's one I want to mention. He's one I want to talk about. Like this kid. Really, really, really like this kid. He's not scared. He is not scared to take it on. And again, with the caveat that it is West Coast, looks to have found his level at his age in the AFL. I doubt he'll be coming out of the team anytime soon. And it was great to not see him as the sub on debut as well. I thought he wasn't physically ready for the rigors of AFL, and I still don't think we'll get an answer on that out of this game because he wasn't really asked to do a hell of a lot, albeit when it was his time to go, he did. He had a few little mistakes here and there, but I don't think it's anything to write home about. I was really impressed with his game. And he's also got this great mixture between aerial prowess, ground ball, and being able to start handball chains and score launches as well, which I find quite fascinating. He seems to be a modern all-round type of defender. So he is definitely one to keep an eye on going forward. Harry Mackay, unlucky. Zach Williams, I think he's only just going at the moment, Zach. We saw him go down a halfback against Collingwood, which I don't really like, given the fact that on the evidence that we've seen, he trained as a forward all summer. I think the forward line is his, and pinch hitting through the midfield. That's going to be his go this season. We know he's on a decent wicket as well. Whether or not it's going to work out long term for him, he's sort of in the twilight of his career. And I think the club would be wanting to look, not to move on, but would be looking at that small forward position and the spot that he holds up on the list, and looking to get someone to definitely be under him, with the idea to replace his spot on the list long term. No doubt about it, I'd have thought. And that's that for the player by player. Look, looking at the team, like I said off the top and throughout this, it's not a satisfying win. It doesn't satiate me. And you can comment on that. Let me know how you felt after the win. You can be happy, you can be sad, you can be angry, you can be whatever you want to be, whatever you want to be. Leave a comment down below. Let us know how you think we're going to go against North Melbourne. We'll have the preview of that game up during the week. Marvel Stadium, Good Friday, 71-point win to the Blues against the Eagles. We finally get our season underway, and we won't exactly know what the narrative of this win is going to look like. The only time we will is as time passes and as the boys progress through the season. So it could be like the Gold Coast game we saw back in 2023, where it was the circuit breaker. But I don't think that Gold Coast team was anywhere near as bad as this West Coast team. Like, subscribe, comment. See you on Tuesday. The Jumper Punch. It's going to be a big one.